named 1 Hour with Europe. My name is Massimo Busuoli. I am the director of the NTNU office in Brussels. NTNU is the Norwegian University of Science and Technology, the biggest university in Norway with more than 7,000 employees and 40,000 students. Spanning is a technical university, so we have coverage of topics ranging from social sciences up to cybernetics and passing through energy. Today, we have as a guest in this edition of 1 Hour with Europe, Mrs. Anna Panagopoulou, which I really thank a lot for her participation. Anna is the director in DG RTD, and she is her directorate, one of the two directors she's director of, has been, of course, focal in the preparation of the communication about the European research area that will be the focus for today's event. Just few words about 1 Hour with Europe is an initiative that aims to spend 1 hour with a guest from the European Commission to talk about a hot topic. The rules of the game is that the speaker will make a presentation about one of the latest novelties in the policy framework of the European research and innovation area. And after, we will open the floor to the people for putting questions on the table. So please feel free to reserve your right to speak in the chat. I kindly ask you to keep the microphone muted, but when your name will be called, you will be able to put the question yourself. So we are not going to read the question, we are going to leave you the floor as in a normal live event. I would like also to underline the fact that for the first time, this event is organized in collaboration with NORCOR, and for me is really, I'm really happy about this collaboration with our national system, and I would like to invite my colleague Tur Ivar Eikos, the director of the Research Council of Norway Brussels office, to even share some words with you about the collaboration and initiative.
Yeah, thank you, Massimo. And also from my side, a very warm welcome to you, Anna, for participating here today. We are very honored to have you here, and we are looking forward to your intervention and the insight that you will provide for us. A few words from my side. I'm Tur Eikos. I'm currently heading the Research Council Norway Brussels office. I'm also currently acting Counselor for Research at the Norwegian Mission to the EU. A few words about the NORCOR office. NORCOR is a Norwegian contact office for research, innovation and education in Brussels. It's a joint office between the Research Council Norway, Innovation Norway and DQ, the Norwegian Agency for International Cooperation and Quality Enhancement in Higher Education. So on behalf of our three organizations behind NORCOR, we are very happy to have teamed up with Massimo and his team at NTNU and joined them in this initiative 1 Hour with Europe. We believe this is a very timely initiative, providing valuable insight, knowledge and training in topics and themes of importance for research, innovation and education. And we are now opening up this initiative outside NTNU. We are doing this step by step and let's see where it leads. This time we have invited relevant NCPs, national contact points in Norway, their networks in Norway, and we have also invited the IGLO community here in Brussels and other interested stakeholders here in Brussels. So back to you, Massimo. We are all eager to start.
Yeah, thank you very much, Tur Ivar, for your kind words of appreciation, and looking forward for a fruitful collaboration in this new format that we are launching today. I would like now not to lose too much time and invite Anna Panagopoulou to give us a presentation about the communication on ERA, reminding to you that you have the right to put questions immediately after the end, up to 1 hour. So Anna, welcome to 1 Hour with Europe.
Good morning, and thank you very much for this invitation. Actually, congratulations for your initiative, because I think that it's very important to have initiatives such as 1 Hour for Europe that really facilitates not only the participants to learn more about what we are doing in the European Commission, but also for us to enhance our outreach towards stakeholders, beneficiaries, and European citizens, which I think it's one of the biggest priorities that we should concentrate as well in the future. So in this context, I'm very pleased to be with you. Also, because we managed on the 3rd of September to adopt the new communication on the European research area, together with the new communication on European educational area and digital education plan, action plan, which are in a way a package, because in many meetings, in many discussions that I had, but also in the context of the discussions that we had in the European ERA group, but also in the Council, the European Union Council, it has been very clear that synergies between European research area and European educational area, in particular in the context of higher education, it is extremely important. So if we go, I don't know, finally, I will change it or you will change it for me? No.
As you like, and maybe you can say next. And
Nicola, if you can do it, I think it's better, because now I think, yeah. Okay, if we go to the next slide. I don't know how, yeah, then is the next slide, please. I don't know how familiar you are with European research area. I assume yes. But if we want to say in few words, what is ERA? ERA has been always conceived and established as the single market for mobility of researchers and for enhanced collaboration on research and innovation across Europe. And that has been always the ultimate objective. It has been established 20 years ago. And if now we want to evaluate the success of ERA and the areas for improvement, we try to highlight a couple of areas where we think we really did well. And first of all, it's in the area of the research infrastructure. So we consider it's one of the success stories. We managed to implement 37 research infrastructures with about 20 billion euros in investments over the last 20 years. But also, we thought that a high successful story for the ERA, it's also the joint programs, because it's only through joining efforts between the member states and the funding, the central funding from the Commission, we will be able to promote the research and innovation priorities. And there we have estimated as around 7 billion euros have been jointly spent on joint priorities and programs. But also, given that one of the highest priority of ERA, it was the researchers' careers, we believe also that a lot of progress has been made in this context, and in particular in the establishment of the Charter and Code for Researchers, but also on the Euro-Access network, which facilitates and provides information and support researchers across Europe. And last but not least, we have made very important steps on the establishment of the European Open Science Cloud, and actually in the context of the next framework program, a partnership is going to be established. So open science and open access has been always one of the highest priority, and it's going to be even more in the years to come. Having said that, there are some areas where we believe that we are still lacking behind the expectations, starting with the 3% target on R&D investment, which has not been reached by the member states. And this is something that we would like certainly to address in the next period. But also the issue of the divide in R&I performance. As you know, a lot of work and a lot of collaboration has been established also in the framework of the in the context of the framework program, but still there is still a big divide on R&I performance. More ambitious policy reforms. I named one, open science, what we can do more to promote open science, not such as obligation in the framework program, but also as a policy which is adopted across the Europe. And then important thing, how we will be able to translate more our R&I results to deliverables and solutions for the economy and for the society. So we produce a lot of research, we have a lot of publications, but we are lacking behind capitalizing on the fantastic research and excellent research that we have done, and to deliver results for the economy and support the transition and the recovery. Gender equality has been always one of the priorities. A lot of progress has been done, but what we can do more, we only have 24% of female researchers in top positions in higher education. And finally, last but not least, involvement of citizens and society is extremely important. We all know that recently we have seen this phenomenon that the citizens, they don't trust research, how we can involve them more, how we can make them more to be close to us. So on the basis of this analysis, if we go to the next slide, we come with two main, I would say, areas where we would like to focus the actions, objectives, and priorities for the new era. First of all, how our research and innovation will become the way to deliver the transition, to deliver the recovery that we want for Europe after COVID-19, but also to enhance Europeans' competitiveness on key technologies. So the accelerated twin transition, the digital and the green transition is very important. You probably heard that we have ambitious targets. So carbon neutrality by 2050, a new target of 55% of reduced emissions by 2030, and in addition, a 35% target, which we have set under Horizon Europe program in order to spend our budget of Horizon on climate activities, so on activities to target the climate challenge. But what we have seen also during the last period is that, in particular for COVID-19, is how important is research and innovation in order to support the recovery of Europe and to address the big challenges that Europe have nowadays. So how we can streamline the investments and the research and innovation that we do across Europe to support and to address these big priorities. This is very important. So how we can target our investments in this context. And last but not least, how we can join forces in the context of the European research area in order to promote key technologies, technologies that are important for the European sovereignty, cybersecurity, space, artificial intelligence, 5G, and e-mobility. So this, I would say, it is in a way the novelty of the new European research area. We do research because we have to promote basic research, we have to promote excellence research, but we also do research because we believe that research and innovation, it is an important vehicle to support the recovery of Europe and to promote the strategic autonomy of Europe in the years to come. And of course, to promote the twin transition, which is the highest priority nowadays. If you go to the next slide, that doesn't mean that we forgot what has been always the research and innovation system and the heart of ERA. So how we can improve the excellence of our research and innovation system, how we can promote the careers of researchers, the mobility of researchers and attracting the talent of researchers in Europe, strengthening at regional, local, national level the innovation ecosystem, and promote the collaboration between academia and industry. And of course, to promote an enhanced role of research infrastructures in the new European research area. These two main pillars, I would say, they go together. On the one side, we have to contribute to the challenges that we have in the world and in Europe. On the other side, we will have to do that by enhancing, transforming, improving, and make even more excellence the current research and innovation system, where in the heart of the system is the researchers, and the researcher careers matter. So if we go to the next slide, this slide will give you in a nutshell the structure of the new era, what has been put in the communication as objectives, actions, targets, and expected results. And of course, how we are going to achieve it, which is the establishment of a renewed governance, which is going to be very important in order to deliver the objectives. So the communication is suggesting 4 priorities and an action plan with 14 actions to be implemented by 2025. When we speak about the 4 priorities, we start with the prioritizing of investments and reforms. And this is actually what is very much linked to the first pillar that I present to you. So how, through prioritizing investments, and how, through promoting reforms in the member states, we will be able to deliver the twin transition and contribute to the recovery of our economy. And the idea under this priority is, first of all, to promote more joint programming with investments coming from Horizon Europe program, from cohesion funds, from other European programs, but also from national funding system. This is very important, and also from the private sector. So missions and partnerships, for example, in the way you have seen them in the context of Horizon 2020, in the context of Horizon Europe program in the future in particular, could be means where we will try to address and attract the interest of public and private investments, and we will try to prioritize the funding coming from the different sources on key areas and key priorities. And we have been quite, I would say, ambitious in the context of the ERA, where we try to put some targets, that they are voluntary targets, and that we hope that because of the ambition of ERA, the member states, they will try to reach in view of achieving the ERA objectives. In particular, the 3% target is always there, is reconfirmed from public and private investments, but we have put also some targets that we think from the public side are important in order to be able to achieve the 3% R&D investments, both public and private. And I will explain to you later on how we do that, or how we wish to do that. So, first priority, work together with the member states to promote joint investments and reforms. And this could be done in the context of EU member states, but also beyond, because the twin transition, the climate change, they are challenges that they are addressing not only the EU member states, but our partners as well. Norway is an important partner in this context, and we hope that these priorities could create the framework of strong collaboration also with third countries, associated countries, countries that they are important partners on research and innovation. The second part, it's very much focused on how we can improve excellence across Europe. And this is the area where, keeping in mind that excellence is the cross-cutting priority on research and innovation and one of the basic principles, how we can help those countries that they are lagging behind in order to have access to excellence and to reach a better performance in the years to come. So there, the focus is very much on reforms. It's very much on how we can work with the member states on delivering those reforms that they are expecting. It's very much on how we can use the tools that are under our availability, like the policy support facility, like the technical support instruments, in order to improve their research and innovation system. And of course, this is something very important because we expect that through this priority and through the support that the Union will put in place and through close dialogue with the member states, we aim to increase the investments in those countries, that in particular those countries that are lagging behind, by 50%. So this is a voluntary base. This is not something, it's not an obligation, but is a kind of a target on which we would like to work together with the relevant member states. Third priority is very much, the third objective is very much linked to what we have to put in place in order to translate the results into economic value. And there are a lot of things that have been already put in place in the context of the framework program. I'm talking about the European Innovation Council, which is new, promotes breakthrough innovation in the market. I'm talking about the InvestEU instrument, which tries to bring investments from public and private sector more to innovative solutions. But in addition to that, we have a new industrial policy in the European Commission, and the role of SMEs, the role of industry, and how we can create value of the research and innovation activities towards also to market update and towards also to deliver new products in the industry, it's of utmost importance. So there, the idea and the proposal is to work very close within the Commission, with the stakeholders, with industrial stakeholders, in order to ensure that through industrial roadmaps, that all the activities that we are doing in the context of European partnerships could be taken on board and could contribute to new products in the industry. But also, it has to do a lot with the work that we are doing at the local and regional level in the context of innovation ecosystems. So a new policy initiative will be delivered with the ERA hubs, so network of ecosystems and offices that would support stakeholders, new ecosystems to be established across Europe. But also there is a proposal to look at the possibility to deliver pro-innovation regulation, in particular in the area on intellectual properties. So overall, what we can do both, so that we establish in Europe a robust ecosystem where it will be possible to promote and translate the results of research and innovation to market deliverables, to the business, and to bring much closer the collaboration between academia, research, and business. And last but not least, the last objective of the communication is how we deepen even further ERA. And there we are looking at the basic essence of our research and innovation policy and the research and innovation system. And I'm talking about the ERA for You, which will be a new initiative to boost the careers of the researchers, to support the researchers' careers, the researchers' mobility, and to attract new talents in Europe. The third data, the open access, the establishment of the European Open Science Cloud are going to be key priorities, as well as to promote and to make it a reality, the open science policy across Europe. Gender plans and gender equality are going to be key priorities, and we will try through the gender equality plans that we will put in Horizon Europe to have a more enhanced policy and collaboration with the member states, with the stakeholders, with the institutions, universities, research organizations, that are those that they will have to promote a gender equality agenda in their administration. So this is one of the important priorities. And the overall objective out of this is to develop opportunities for better careers across Europe and open science, world-class infrastructures, and less gender gaps in Europe. So you see 4 priorities, different one to each other, but I would like to repeat again that in each one of those priorities, you can see the importance and the interest and the benefit for the researchers, for the research organization and institutions that are in the heart of the system. And by promoting more investments on research and innovation, the researchers and the research organization will benefit as well. Whereas by developing new, more open, more interoperable research and innovation system, more opportunities for career researchers, again, the research and innovation system and the researchers will benefit out of it. A lot of ambition, difficult targets to be met and reached, and the idea there also to have a governance, which is going on the one side to build up on what has been already existed, which is the ERAC governance, the advisory of ERAC, and all the groups that are already established in the work that was studied in the context of ERAC. But on the other side, we'll have 2 main key players and key initiatives in the context of the new governance. The establishment of the ERA Forum for Transition, which is going to be a body to be established and to follow monitoring the implementation of priorities, objectives, and targets, and to try to streamline the prioritization and activities between the member states and the European Union and all the other participants. And then the Pact for Research and Innovation, which is going to be a non-binding instrument aiming to put in place a list of principles that are important for European researchers, for European research ecosystem in order to deliver its excellent results and to deliver the expected results. Recently, in an ERA ministerial conference that has been organized in the context of the German presidency, a declaration of academic freedom was signed between the different member states. That's one principle that eventually could be part of the pact, but also principles in the area of open science and other areas, gender equality, etc. There are important principles that we would like to see in collaboration with all member states and all our partners in the context of the ERA to be established and to be the basis for developing research and innovation. So this is in a nutshell. I have a lot of slides and I would like to suggest that I'm not going in detail to all the slides because I think it's better that you look at them. But if we go to the next one, yeah, this is about the targets. I think I spoke about that. I would like a little bit, let's go to the next. Again, it's about the targets. Yeah, I would like to go more to the, if you go to the next one, please. Yeah, I think this is, I think also I spoke about that. Please go to the next one. Yeah, there we can say a few words, maybe, which I think it is important. And I think the first one, it's very much linked to what we try to do through the better diffusion and uptake of the RNI results through knowledge transfer and public-private cooperation. I think this is very important because only by linking our efforts together with the business, together with the industry in Europe, it will be possible to promote and to create value around our results. This is something new, I believe, that we would like to promote through the new ERA with the support of the activities that are going to take place in the context of Horizon Europe program. And therefore, we are looking very much on how we can link the work of the European partnerships together with the industrial technology roadmaps and the industry. And the second part I would like to mention here is how we can maximize the value from knowledge creation, circulation, and the use of knowledge through the creation of these ERA hubs. For you that you are familiar with the KICs, and I think you are familiar with the KICs, or with the digital innovation hubs, the ERA hubs is not going to be something new. It's going to be an overall initiative, which first of all is going to establish a mapping of existing innovation ecosystems and hubs that exist in Europe, trying to identify the gaps where we are missing you know, the nodes or the hubs that will promote the research and innovation in Europe and the knowledge in Europe. And once we have identified, we have mapped what exists and what does not exist, then we'll try to see how we can interconnect all this knowledge ecosystem with the aim to support the researchers, the institutions across Europe to accelerate and promote their research and innovation activities and to promote innovation at local and regional level. And in this context, we would like also to encourage the creation of new innovation hubs in areas where they do not exist. So if we go to the next slide, please. Yes, there I would like to say a little bit more about deepening the ERA, which I think that concerns all the stakeholders and is important for all of you. So first of all, what we will try to do, we would like to create a European framework for researchers' careers, so to advance what we have already in place and to promote a unified researcher career and promote the mobility across Europe through comparable and interoperable researchers' careers. As you know, we have put already in place a lot of instruments like the Resaver, but what we can do more and beyond that in order to promote better framework conditions for the researchers' careers across Europe, and also to establish a taxonomy of researcher skills and competencies as well that are recognizable across Europe. The second part of activities that we would like to promote is to establish an observatory to monitor the trends. What is the labor market? What are the opportunities for the careers? What are the skills that we have to develop? And what is the bandwidth of mobility of researchers? And where we have to intervene, or what are the tools that we have to put in place to promote a better career opportunity for the researchers. And in this context, we would like to revamp the existing charter and code that we have, and also to establish a talent platform on the basis of the Euro Access that will provide opportunities to the researchers for better career across Europe. And finally, the ERA for You initiative. This is something that has two elements. The first element is very much focused on the widening countries, and there will be a specific instrument as part of the widening part of Horizon Europe. And what aims at is to promote mobility of researchers and to target concrete measures for mobility in order to promote the mobility of researchers also towards the widening countries and to promote a balanced brain circulation across Europe. And the second part, which is open for everybody and across Europe, will be mobility schemes between industry and academia, and incentivizing researchers to pursue careers outside academia. This is the second part, because we do believe that under the new context and on the basis of the new objectives that we have to and we want to achieve, the researchers, they can have and they should have a career beyond academia also in the industry, because that will help us also to promote the delivery of the overall ERA objectives. So if we go to the next slide, please. Yes, here I would like to highlight the importance of bringing and promoting the synergies between European educational area and European research area. And there I would like to say that in particular, in the next year, we will try to promote a joint transformation agenda on higher education, which will address the aspects of education, research, and innovation. And we are currently preparing such an agenda in order to be discussed on open consultation and meetings with all stakeholders across Europe. And if we go to the next slide, I would like also to address the issue of the open access and open science. This is going to be one of the highest priority to work together. As I said, a new partnership has been established on the establishment of the European Open Science Cloud, and there will be a new association, we would like to have as many members and partners as possible in this new association, because our objective is really to establish the Open Science Cloud. But also there will be a lot of activities in this area that they are very much in the context of the European-wide participatory citizen science campaigns, because we do believe that we need to have more citizens involved in the research and innovation work that we are doing. And finally, I think I spoke a lot about gender equality and gender equality plans, that they are going to be important in the context of this new era, but also in the context of the new framework program. So next slide, please. And I think this is the final one, if I'm not, no. Yeah, you will go to the next slide. Sorry, can you switch to the next slide? Yeah, so last but not least, I would like just to no, the previous one, please. Can you hear me?
Yes, so there is a lag on the line, I suspect, Anna. So there is a lag in the reaction of the slides after you ask for the next one. So you need the previous one compared to Horizon Europe structure now?
Yeah, I need just the previous one because I would like to link a little bit all this work with Horizon Europe structure.
This one?
So finally, no, the other one, that was okay. We don't need this. I think I spoke a lot about all this. Only about to link with the Horizon Europe.
Okay,
this one, exactly.
Now, okay, good.
As you know, in parallel, there is finalizations of the negotiations of Horizon Europe. And I assume by now you are very much familiar with the structure of Horizon Europe, with the three pillars, the excellent science, the global challenge and European industrial competitiveness, the innovative Europe, which is all very much about innovation ecosystems, European Innovation Council, and the EIT. And finally, the widening participation and strengthening the European research area pillar. So automatically, I would say that this horizontal pillar, the widening participation and strengthening the European research area, is the funding that has been foreseen as the main source contributing to the creation of the European research area, in particular the part of the ERA, where there will be a lot of measures in support the activities, the actions that have been foreseen in the context of ERA. But of course, widening participation, which is going to be the 3.3% of the entire Horizon Europe budget, is going to be instrumental and very important, in particular to deliver the objectives of the second objective of the ERA, but also to enhance the participation, the collaboration between stakeholders coming from different member states. The other pillars, talking about pillar 1, pillar 2, and pillar 3, as you can imagine, without being dedicated to specific ERA objectives, they are pillars that overall, they will contribute to the delivery of the ERA objectives in the context of promoting investments and targeting investments to missions, to partnerships. This is one of the highest priority in pillar 2, where up to 50% of the budget will be dedicated to partnerships and up to 10% to missions. Of course, as I said, these are the maximum amounts. Needs still to be seen how the budget will be allocated on completely open collaborative research or more strategic priorities like missions and partnerships. The pillar 3, which is the first time that we are going to have almost 11 billion euros on innovation in Europe, is going to be an instrument that could be very important to promote all the aspects of disruptive innovation in Europe and collaboration with the work that is done in the context of KICs and in the context of the ecosystems. So this is an area where we really believe that will be instrumental in the development of new and advance the existing ecosystems, innovation ecosystems in Europe. And pillar 1, it is the main instrument which is going to help us to promote what is the basic research, but also the mobility of researchers with the Maurice Skłodowska-Curie actions and the work to be done in the research infrastructures. Not a very high increase of the budget in this pillar, but still a lot of investments that will be very important to promote the aspects of mobility of researchers. So this is how we see the interaction between ERA and Horizon Europe. On the one side, we have an overarching policy where we would like to collaborate with the member states on key objectives and priorities and to target investments together. On the other side, we have Horizon Europe program, which is also aligned on the same priorities and provides the instruments and tools and the funding at European level in order to be able to deliver what it is commonly designed as priorities and objectives in both ERA communication and Horizon Europe. So in this context, the Horizon Europe instruments and its priorities are aligned but also complementary to the ERA. And in this context, Horizon Europe is only one funding instrument that could contribute to deliver the objectives of ERA, which goes beyond and necessitates streamlining of priorities and collaboration with all the countries that they would like to work at the EU level in order to deliver the objectives of ERA. So this is more or less, I hope it was not too long, But the new communication is quite exhaustive, and I would like to invite all of you. If we go to the last slide, you can see the links where you can find more information about the communication, the press release, a video, and whatever you need to know about ERA. We are going to launch an outreach event on ERA in the next year, aiming the overall activities, but also specific domains that would be most of the interest of the stakeholders and countries concerned. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Anna, for this comprehensive presentation. I think it was very clear, and congratulations for being able to summarize such a complex set of initiatives in a half an hour. As told at the beginning, we will open the floor for your questions. Just write your name in the chat for me to give you right of words. But the first question I would like to ask to Ivar, my colleague, to Ivar to warm up the debate. So Tur.
Yeah, thank you, Massimo. And thank you, Anna, for a very interesting and useful presentation and providing really new and insight and knowledge about ERA. I think maybe we could start with a question related to one of the core priorities, the translating R&I results into economy and the competitiveness of European industry, where you sort of indicated that there will be common industrial technology roadmaps. Do you have any more insight on timeline, best way for the stakeholders to engage, and maybe also related to this smart use of IP that you mentioned in one of the slides? It would be useful, I think, if you could elaborate a little bit on this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. No, for the moment, I don't have a more concrete timeline because we are now currently developing all the ideas. So as I said, there is an action plan of activities that have been annexed to this communication. But now this is the moment that we will have to start preparing in more details on how we are going to put in place these activities and with engagement of whom. So I cannot provide you more detailed information. What I can tell, which I think it's very important in relation to the timeline. On the 27th of November, we are going to have the Compact Council, where important council conclusions in the context of the ERA communication, they will be adopted. And after that, we have to start working to roll out and to put in place the way that we are going to work in the future and to establish groups that they are going to work on the different priorities that have been stipulated in the ERA communication. Having said that, as you know, ERA is a common work and a common deliverable with the member states. So for our member states, it has been very important that on the basis of the roadmap of ERA, they will come with a new agenda in the years to come. So we have to work internally in the Commission to come with concrete proposals on how to put in place, put in actions all the activities, and in particular the one on the industrial roadmap. The European partnerships are going to play a very important role on that. And my colleagues that are responsible for this, they will come up with some concrete ideas on how to engage stakeholders in the context of this collaboration. But I don't have yet a concrete timeline on how this is going to take place in the next period. So we still have to develop this.
Thank you. Before giving the floor to the colleagues that are following the events, I also would like to ask you a question. Anna, I've been interested, especially by this ERA Hubs initiative that is highlighted in the ERA communication, especially because I think it's very interesting the fact that the Commission is trying to organize the things in the regional dimension that they have. My question is, do we have to expect then even calls for structuring the system? Meaning, I suspect that they're going to work on industrial sectors, putting together innovation clusters that are based on local investments. In Norway, for example, there are this initiative for the creation of SFIs, which are innovation-based centers where industry and research get together to develop new products based on the knowledge generated by the research part to be devoted to industry. And these are a form of this cluster or hubs, if you want. But it's interesting for me to understand better how you plan to implement and if we have to expect in the future specific calls for structuring the system in this way, because the other similarity that come to my mind is the one of the digital innovation hub that we perfectly know will be a network launched in the Digital Euro program next year, basically.
Yeah, very good question. Actually, yes, but we have first to do the mapping because we should not overlap with existing activities. As you clearly said, on one side, we have the digital innovation hubs, but they are very much focused on the innovation aspects and they promote digital transformation in the different actors of the ecosystems and help them to go to this digital transformation. On the other side, the hubs, they are going more in the context of overall research and innovation activities. And indeed, the idea of establishing a network is one of the priorities that we would like to pursue. But first, before launching any possible calls in this context, we would like to have an analysis and the mapping and to identify where are the existing gaps. Having said that, because we want to promote access to excellence and because we want to promote also more excellent creation of excellent hubs across Europe, there will be already some calls in the context of the widening part of Horizon Europe. We are going to address the excellence hubs, very much linked to the ERA Hubs initiative for those countries that they are lower performing. So mapping on the one side in order to identify the gaps. Nevertheless, in the context of widening, we'll start some first steps in order to be able to promote the creation of innovation hubs, of excellence hubs across Europe, which is very much linked also to the ERA Hubs initiative. So I hope it was clear, but the first and most more important thing is to do the mapping across Europe and to see where are the gaps.
Okay, thank you very much. I would like to start with the one which reserved to put a question. The first one was Wendy Sonneveld. So Wendy, you can open your microphone and do your question yourself. Just be brief.
Yes, good morning, everybody. Thank you, Massimo, for allowing me to ask my question. Anna, thank you very much for your presentation. I find it very interesting. My question is about the transformation agenda. Could you elaborate a little bit more about the different steps within that agenda to form the agenda, to draft the agenda, and how you think to work together with the stakeholder organizations? Thank you a lot.
Yeah, so I suppose you're talking about the transformation agenda for the twin transition. Is that correct? Also the transformation agenda for the universities, because there are many transformation agendas in this.
Sorry for not having been clear. It's about the universities one.
Okay, sorry. So look, as you know, we had the two communications very recently. Both communications, they are addressing the issue of higher education. So what we want to do, we are going to launch together with the GIAC an open consultation where we are going to ask the opinion of the various stakeholders. And at the beginning of the year, we would also going to organize joint meetings with all stakeholders where we will try to take their views on which are the areas where this transformation of higher education should take place. In the meantime, as you probably know, both from our side, from Horizon 2020 program, but in particular under Erasmus, they have been launched the European University Alliances. And in the context of the top-up funding that we provide through Horizon 2020, we will try also to have the first steps of synergies between the various universities that they are participating in the University Alliances on more coherent strategic agendas targeting the transformation of the university in the future. So we want to see what is going to be the experience of this pilot on European universities launched by the Erasmus and top up by Horizon 2020. We want in parallel to have an open consultation and discussion with stakeholders in the context of 2021 in order to see also how do you see and what are your views for the transformation agenda. In parallel, we have a lot of studies, and we have in particular one study that has been launched by DG Research and Innovation in the context of research and innovation activities, which has been finalized, and we have the results already available. And in addition to that, our vision will be to develop a more policy agenda on the basis of the consultation with the various stakeholders on what will be the future of universities in Europe. So a lot of ambition behind that, and a very focused consultation that will take place in 2021 with all relevant stakeholders and member states. I would like also to highlight that for French presidency, the transformation, etc., and the collaboration on European universities is going to be one of the highest priorities. So we do target probably to have an important policy initiatives in the context of the French presidency, if this is what the presidency would like to have. But we will start from the beginning of 2021 to consult you.
Thank you. I have 4 people which reserved the right to ask a question. The first one is Gianluca Pappalardo from Polytechnic of Milano. Gianluca, you can open your microphone.
Thanks, Massimo. Good morning. Anna, thanks for your presentation. I have 2 questions about Horizon Europe and its new structure. I would like to know something about Euratom, which no longer appears as a transversal action, and then the positioning of biotechnologies and nanotechnologies with respect to the new structure of Horizon Europe. Thank you.
Thank you. So Euratom is something that is negotiated apart. So it continues to exist, but is not anymore part indeed of the structure of Horizon Europe program. But there are parallel negotiations, and we hope that we will manage to conclude this in appropriate time in order to continue to work in the context also of Euratom. Now, concerning nanotechnologies and biotechnologies, nanotechnologies is certainly part of cluster 4, where we have digital, industry, and space. Biotechnologies, you cut me unprepared, sorry for that. And I prefer not to reply to you because probably I will say something wrong. But certainly it's one of the priorities. It's not only one of the priorities, biotechnologies, but it's also one of the important targets that the Commission would like to put to highlight. It becomes more and more important, and the Commission is going to have a new policy initiative very soon on biotechnology. So it is very important, but sorry, I don't know where it is located. Sorry for that.
It is reasonable about you thinking that will be positioned inside the health cluster?
It's possible, but what I would like to say and to highlight that in the current, the new structure of Horizon Europe, everything is in a way multidisciplinary and cross-cluster cutting. So you may see digital projects and digital actions as part of health cluster because it is very important, because it matters. It could be indeed as part of the health, but it could be also as part of cluster 4 because of something which is new technologies as well. So that really depends, and we need to have this overarching approach across pillar 2, where we have to reinforce the synergies between different disciplines in the context of missions, because if we have a mission, we should not have projects only from one discipline, but we should have projects selected through different maybe topics. We have to see how the goals will be established from different disciplines, and to establish a portfolio of projects that are addressing these different disciplines because it is important to deliver the mission. But we also have to see how we can collaborate between the different clusters so that the priorities that they are addressed between the different clusters could work in a synergetic way in order to deliver the overall objectives. So I wouldn't exclude that at one stage will be also priorities that they are jointly addressed through different clusters. And in this context, indeed, it could be also biotechnology, an issue that could be addressed through different clusters and calls.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anna. I have now Alexandra Wiczak-Ugstad. Alexandra, sorry for...
Ugstad is enough, okay. I have a question. Thank you, Anna, for the presentation. Could you say something more about the governance structure for ERA? There are new bodies, and I'm a bit curious, kind of what will be the composition and the level and cooperation between all those new bodies compared to the old ones as well?
So that's a very good question, and I don't have the answer yet, in the sense that the communication was very clear. The proposal is to establish a NERA forum for transition, so one big forum, which of course we need to have the participation of countries, commission, etc. The communication speaks about a commission-led forum, which means that most probably will be an expert group established by the Commission, but we're still discussing all this. And indeed, the question is how we will establish this new forum in relation to what already exists. And what already exists is the ERA advisory group that has been established by the Council, and its working groups under the ERA. So we are in the stage now that we will start discussing with the participants in the ERA groups on how we will put in place this new governance. What we want, it is something that will support the monitoring and the decision-making process in the context of the ERA. Of course, at the European Union level, we have the Council, the European Council, we have the Research Working Party, and we have the Council where it takes decisions on research and innovation in general. But what we would like to do with the new forum is to really monitor how and with the four objectives and the activities that are proposed through the communication are implemented, to align and to try to reinforce this alignment of prioritization, which enabling also alignment of prioritization on investments, on joint activities. And we will have to see in the future how this work will be complementary to what already exists, which is the ERA groups. So we are at the beginning of the process, but what I can certainly say that we need something very strong and dynamic, which is going to pursue and support the implementation of the very challenging ERA agenda. And we have to see how we articulate this forum in relation to the ERA that already exists and has been already delivered a lot of successful deliverables in relation to the implementation of the ERA agenda as well.
Thank you very much. We are running to the end of the event. We still have 3 questions pending. If you don't mind, Anna, can we collect them and answer in writing in case? Is it a problem for you? There are just 3 questions. Okay.
Yeah, of course, we can.
Okay, perfect. So the colleagues which have put the question on the chat, and I ask Alexandra Chirico to write it, will receive a written answer, and this will be given to all of you. Another matter of information, the session is being recorded and will be put at disposal of everyone after the end in a specific web page. I would like to ask River to make his final comments before my final closing.
Yeah, thank you, Massimo. And first, thank you so much, Anna, for your presentation and willingness to spend time and share your insights on this important communication. It's in a very concise and informative way. I believe that this has been really useful for the audience. And we have seen from the chat and the participation list that we have had participants from all over Europe now in this event, from Norway, Belgium, Denmark, Germany, Italy, Netherlands, Romania, and so on. So we have reached out quite well. From the Norco side, we are very happy having teamed up with NTNU Brussels office and organizing this 1 hour with Europe. And so I can only say stay tuned for the next 1 hour with Europe, and back to you, Massimo.
Yeah, thank you very much, River, for these words. Also on my side, thank you very much, Anna, for your availability and for this interesting presentation, which is definitely providing extra insight on what we have to focus also as stakeholders in our future strategies to be able to contribute to the objective that Europe is trying to achieve also through our effort and involvement. I would like to thank also the participants and the one which also put questions to animate the event. As anticipated, this is the first of a series of events that we plan to organize more or less on a monthly basis in a flexible terms. So there is not a fixed day of the month. We basically base it on the availability of the speaker. With Anna, it's been quite an interesting negotiation because we moved the event here and there, but we finally have been able to catch her. So Anna, again, thanks a lot for your availability and thanks a lot for this very interesting presentation, and looking forward to meet you in the future as well, meet you all for the next edition of 1 Hour with Europe.